Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. This is a big few days in pro wrestling, I gotta say. Big few days of my life. I've been working insane hours. I organized a Mother's Day festival with local vendors and a band and everything on Sunday. Saw my mom. And then watched WWE WrestleMania Backlash on Monday afternoon in between working a double. Here I am Tuesday going into my other job. But before that, we're going to be talking about wrestling. I'm going to be speaking to you guys about everything that I deem important in the world of wrestling. And one of those things being Forbidden Door sold out. Heard some stating low ratings for New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access might mean that the Forbidden Door show would not do well. Anyone who has New Japan Pro Wrestling World, their streaming service, doesn't watch Access, and pretty much anybody who keeps up with New Japan has New Japan World. So, pretty much you can watch something live, most shows live. You can watch even more shows, put up on a little bit of a delay in English or in Japanese. So why would you tune into Access that shows things about 2 or 3 months late? So low ratings on Access makes sense to me because anyone who is invested in New Japan already has New Japan World. So therefore the low ratings really don't matter too much, as we see here with Forbidden Door. They're going back to Chicago. They were in Chicago last month, so they do pretty well. But the show did sell out with no card announced. There is a rumor that AEW or Tony Khan do this thing that apparently a lot of businessmen do, where they buy up all the tickets the day of, causing there to be a high demand in the secondary market, so then they can sell their tickets on the secondary market, make a lot more money, and get a lot of press for selling out the show, making it seem like a bigger deal than it is. And if that's the case, that's pretty smart, because the secondary market tickets are always higher, and it did cause a lot of press, and it did, shut up a few people that blamed the low ratings on Access to be a contributing factor to the lack of success, or the potential lack of success, as Forbidden Door would have. We will probably not see Kota Ibushi at Forbidden Door unless he's making his debut for AEW. It does not look like he is going to sign to New Japan anymore. I think he asked for his release, or asked to get fired today. It was really hard to understand what was going on. I was reading it probably pretty much as it happened, but it has something to do, I think, with them allowing Taka Michinoku to come back and wrestle after his alleged domestic abuse charges. So he seems like he's doing the right thing there, but it seems like we're all going to suffer for it. He could go back to DDT, but he seems, to be a way bigger star than when he left DDT. He could come over to America and wrestle on AEW, but that roster has so many guys on it right now. I don't really see him making too big of an impact. So we really are losing one of the best wrestlers in the world in the best environment he could be in. But it's a shame. It's a shame that would happen. He did wrestle in the Cruiserweight Classic. He turned down WWE's offer then. Maybe he can, follow Cody's lead and come to WWE. I don't know what they would do with him there, but I can shake my head and think about the awful gimmicks they might give him there. But jumping into Backlash, speaking of WWE, how good were the video packages? How good was this show? The show is pretty good. I think they've kind of found out how to make a big fight feel a spectacle. I thought day one was a flop, but Royal Rumble, the Saudi show, WrestleMania, they were all good. And now WWE WrestleMania Backlash 2022 is good as well. There's one thing that they do better than anyone else in the wrestling world, and that is video packages. There was no shortage of video package on this show, and they were all really, really good. We're going to rank every single match from worst to first, starting with number 6, Lashley versus Almost. This feud is better on paper than it is in the ring, and it's not that good on paper. This feud would have also been better if Lashley did not beat Almost at Mania. We've already seen David beating Goliath, so it's kind of weird to see Goliath beat David here. Almost did get the victory. We'll probably see another match here at a Saudi show or something like that, but it's the worst match on the card. Number 5, Madcap Moss versus Baron Corbin. Madcap is good. He can go. Corbin hits his finisher. Madcap kicked out. I was surprised about that. Madcap rolled him up for the victory. 1, 2, 3. Edge versus AJ Styles at number 4. Edge going after AJ's shoulder. Middle turnbuckle exposed. Edge goes into it at one point, but then Priest shows up, kind of ruining the stipulation. Finn Balor chases him away. A figure in a black mask, black hoodie, shows up, knocks AJ off of the turnbuckle. 1, 2, 3. Edge gets the victory and reveals that it's Rhea Ripley joining Edge's faction. So you have Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, I think real life best friends here joining Edge. I like this. I think it's pretty good. Rhea Ripley needed a fresh coat of paint. It's cool to see, a dominant woman in a faction in WWE, not necessarily like a valet by any means, but more or less like the muscle of the group is Rhea Ripley. And we haven't seen something like this since China, but I do think Rhea Ripley is a lot better wrestler than China. So sign me up. I'm all for this. AJ and Finn, not too into that team. Hopefully they start hating each other and feuding. I'd be really into that feud, but I want to see Edge and Priest go up against RK Bro. And speaking of RK Bro, number 3 out of 6, the 6-man tag, Drew McIntyre teaming with RK Bro versus the Bloodline. Drew wants Roman. Paul advises it against it. Roman tags in anyways, only to tag right back out. I thought that was pretty well-paced stuff. Classic wrestling shit. And that's what you can say about this whole Roman storyline with him and Paul Heyman since they came way back from the Thunderdome. The Usos did get the upper hand on Riddle, and then Roman finally does tag in. That was done well as well. Hot tag with Orton was pretty good. All hell breaks loose. Someone goes through a table. Solid, fun match. Spear to Riddle. 1, 2, 3. The Bloodline get the victory. They were saving a pin from Randy and a pin from Drew for, I think, later on in the year. So I guess that shows you which guys on the other team that they see getting a main event from Roman. I think this week on SmackDown, RK Bro is going to show up on SmackDown and tell Roman that they want a tag title shot against the Usos. Maybe some angle happens here where we get Randy versus Roman, Hell in the Cell, so the Usos and Riddle can't get in. I don't know. That's just me fantasy booking. That's me speculating. I'm not sure. But number 2 out of 6, Ronda versus Charlotte, the best Ronda Rousey match, or the second best Ronda Rousey match of all time, in my opinion. This was good, brawling on the outside. Ronda chases Charlotte to the back. Charlotte shows back up with 2 kendo sticks to take down Ronda's 1 kendo stick. Charlotte, chases Ronda pretty much in the crowd. They go in the crowd. I really like the spot where Charlotte goes for a moonsault, but Ronda chases her up there and catches her in an armbar, kind of draping her over the top turnbuckle, face or like hanging outside the ring. I thought that was pretty cool. And then she locks in a figure 8. I thought that was over. Ronda breaks free from that and locks in an armbar through the chair. Charlotte says, "I quit." In the I Quit match, Ronda Rousey wins the World Championship. Second best Ronda Rousey match of all time, right behind the mixed tag match at WrestleMania 34. I think that might have been Ronda's first match, and it was her best match. It was all downhill from that moment. But number 1, the first match, the Curtain Jerker, Cody versus Seth. This was in a league of its own on this show. Crowd comes alive for Cody's superplex, but he misses a dive and then directly counters Seth's dive right after that. Rollins Falcon Arrow Frog Splash still can't put Cody away. Seth with the superplex, and then rolls through to hit a suplex like from the mat on the mat. But Cody counters into a crossroads. 1-2. Seth kicks out. Cody goes for a moonsault. No one home. Seth hits a pedigree. 1-2. Cody kicks out. Cody ends up rolling up Seth. This was a great match. No need for a rubber match here. Cody beat Seth twice, which I think is good to keep Cody undefeated. Maybe after you get done with Hell in the Cell or whatever they're doing here on WWE, have Roman beat Randy, have Roman beat Drew, have Roman beat Riddle again for all I care. Do another 6-man tag, but keep Cody undefeated until you can feed him to Roman, because I do think you need to keep the title on Roman, but I think you can have a great match with Cody and Roman, maybe at a Saudi show, maybe SummerSlam, maybe even hold it off to Survivor Series. But I think if you keep Cody undefeated, that is going to be a money match between him and Roman Reigns. Last night on Raw, Alexa Bliss comes back, wrestled Sonya Deville, while she just got the news that she is no longer a WWE official. And just reading this, that's the big news, was that Sonya Deville is no longer a WWE official. Reminds me why I don't watch week to week. That shit is boring. The big news leaving this was Edge got a haircut. Nice haircut. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. They could have done something where AJ cut his hair last night or some shit to set up. I know they just kind of did something like that at WrestleMania, but, you can't just be out here giving haircuts. Another big takeaway was how they did the interviews. Austin Theory had his back turned to the crowd getting interviewed, just like they kind of did with the 80s. Kind of reminded me of when, Jesse Ventura or Macho Man was on commentary with just seeing the sea of people behind him. I think that's a great backdrop, way cooler than just like a piece of fabric or a TV or whatever they had for years. I'm glad they brought this back, but I'm also glad that I didn't watch WWE Raw. I just kind of went on Twitter and saw these highlights, and the fact that everyone was talking about a haircut, and the fact that everyone was talking about Alexa Bliss coming back and being in a squash match. How many times has she returned now? It's like 4 or 5 times she's returned. And just the one shot of the interview segment was pretty cool. But I think AEW week to week is good. New Japan, keeping up with that week to week is good. But WWE, they do the video packages and the big spectacles better than anybody else. So if you just tune in to the big shows, you will get what they do better than anybody else, and that is the video packages and the big fight feel, the spectacle of it all. But that's it. This is a short one today, guys. As always, fly high. I'm out.